right, hi everyone, I'm Adam. I'm here today with Oregon State University Precollege Programs, and today we're going to do an activity called Holland Codes and Career Interests. So we're going to be exploring Holland Codes, what those mean, how they can help us think about our interests, and then how that will also help us think about the world of work. And today with me to help kind of run these activities, run these games, I have Emily Nicholson, also part of Oregon State Precollege Programs. Emily, do you want us to go ahead and say hi?
Yes, hello. Like Adam said, my name is Emily. I'm one of the coordinators in pre-college programs, and today I'm helping him run some of these games.
Awesome. So let's get going. All right. So a quick reminder before we get started, you will need to get a pen and paper, just something to write with. What you'll be wanting to do is kind of take notes because throughout this activity, you'll be asked to kind of rank which activities you like the most, because that's how we're going to get our Holland Code. And we'll talk about that more as we go. So this activity is sponsored by the Regional Class Research Vessel Project here at Oregon State University. We are an NSF funded project. We are an operating institution of 3 research vessels that OSU is leading the construction of. The one at Oregon State University will be RV Tawny. The other 2 vessels will be on the Atlantic coast as well as the Gulf Coast. So let's jump right into our warm-up. I would like to know, what is your favorite Disney movie? You can put that into the chat. This will come up later in the Holland Codes and the games. You can put favorite Disney character. You'll see some of mine in there. So if you want to think about that, go ahead and put it in. I see a few in there. I see Moana, very interesting. Definitely. Disney. I see Shrek. Shrek, I do not think is a Disney movie, although Shrek is very cool. Yeah, there's a few more coming in, so hopefully spurred some conversation there. And then let's move on down here. So thinking and changing. What are some of your interests, talents, goals, or career or aspirations? So think about what are things that you already do that you enjoy doing. Maybe you do them outside of school and you say that you feel good about. So what are some of your interests and talents? Because those will help us kind of think about your career aspirations. What are things you want to do later in life? And then also think about what kind of lifestyle do you want? What are things that you'd want to go do? What are things that where you'd want to live? What are things that you'd want to be able to afford? So all that comes into thinking about, what kind of job would that be? And so maybe you have an idea of that job now, and think about how could you learn more information about that job? Could you talk to someone? Who could that be? And we'll be revisiting these questions again at the end. All right, so Holland types, there's a few here: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And now there's 6 of them. And we are going to play 6 games to help us get to know those a little better. So with this activity, you're going to learn a few things here. You're going to learn about Holland Codes. I have my notes up here behind me that you'll see. We're each going to explore 1 game at a time, and that will be your Holland trait. 3 traits together, you might call them your interest traits or primary interest. That's what we're going to rate these 3 games. The top 3 games will kind of meet our Holland Code. All right, so the learning goals for this Holland Code activity is for you to learn your Holland Code. Again, that could change over time as you learn more about your interests and more about the world of work. And then by learning those Holland Codes, you're also going to learn what kind of careers you're interested in and what kind of things would certain jobs ask you to do that you would really like to do. And also then know more about yourself. So in this activity, the key thing is by getting to know yourself, you're able to know your interests, and then you're able to think about what kind of jobs and careers you may want. So now in this activity, we're going to play 6 games that help us discover our code. To follow along with the link that was shared in the Google Drive, there's also a cool little printed survey that you can use. I'm going to use this to take my notes on. And that's how I'm going to follow along on mine. That's what I'm going to use to rank it. And so now, Emily, you can take over.
Thank you, Adam. So like Adam mentioned, what we are going to be doing now is we are going to be playing those 6 games, and we're going to focus on each of the Holland types as we play the games. So let me pulling this up. So, as Adam mentioned, we are going to be playing one game for each Holland type, focusing on that type. And then at the end of all games, we'll look through and pick which were your top 3 games that you played to find which Holland types you like to give your Holland code. So the first type we're going to look at is the realistic Holland type, and that those are the doers. So the people who really like the realistic Holland type are the doers. They like doing things with hands and they like being active. So examples for these include athletes, technicians, and engineers. So they like to do things with their hands. So the activity that goes along with this Holland type is called Do It. And you will have 60 seconds to use whatever you can find to build the tallest tower that you can. After that, you can record it, the height and the materials you were able to use. So you are going to have 60 seconds to do this. I am going to stop my sharing because Adam is going to take over while you're doing it. So Adam, when you're ready, I'll give 1 minute. I also want to point out really quickly that if 1 minute is not enough time or you don't have enough time to do some of these activities or you didn't start right when we would, you can pause it and then build it in 60 seconds, your 60 seconds, and then come back. So whenever you are ready, Adam.
All right, so I'm going to give you a countdown and say go, and then I'll start. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. So I saw the tallest thing that I could put on my chair, which right now looks like a fan. And now what can I put on top of the fan? I have an amazing hat. Maybe I'll put that up there. See if I can add some height. That didn't add too much height. Now I'm not sure what else. I have a plant, but I don't want to break the plant, so I'm not going to put that up there. And then let's see about this. If I could attach this to here, I could probably get to the roof. All right, I'm just gonna stay right there with the hat on the fan. And here it is, so you can see it, all of it in there. That is how tall it went. There is the chair all the way up. So now I am pausing it, and I'm gonna give it back over to Emily.
Perfect. Thanks, Adam. So hopefully in that minute, you were able to build the tallest tower that you can. And the key with that Holland type was that it was active. So you were able to physically get up, you were able to go so in Adam's case, he got the fan, he put it on the chair, so you were physically doing something. The next Holland type that we are going to talk about is, and the career connections, like we talked about, the athletes with the ocean science focus is an ocean engineer. So someone who possibly builds or works on remote operating vehicles or ROVs, or a marine technician who is working on the ships, on the boats. So our next type we're going to talk about is the investigative type. And these people are the thinkers. They're people who are inquisitive, they're curious, they like to explore ideas, they like to solve problems. And some career examples here would be food scientists. Here at OSU, we have a food science laboratory where they do taste tests. So there are people who are trying to find the creamiest cheese and the bluest blueberry, and they're always trying to improve things a little bit. So that's one example. Other example, oceanographers. So this man right here is looking at the shrimp, and he's trying to solve some problem that has to do with the shrimp or the ocean. And then veterinarians or doctors. So a lot of times when you bring an animal that is sick to the vet, they have to it's a puzzle. They're trying to figure out what exactly is wrong with it. Here are the symptoms. What could be wrong with it? What could be the solution? So the game that goes with the investigative Holland type is called Figure It Out. And what you are going to do is you're going to need to find an item in your house that has 3 characteristics. You need to be able to lift it with one hand, It has more than 2 colors and is made of more than 2 types of material. And I will give you 30 seconds to find this. Something you can lift with your hand, has more than 2 colors, and is made of more than 2 types of material. I'll do 30 seconds. I'm pulling that up right now. And go.
All right, so I'm gonna take over here. So 30 seconds, one hand, more than 2 colors, more than 2 types of material. All right, so here's the first one. This is a happy face mug. It looks like it's all one material, even though it's 2 colors. I'm gonna put that down. Ooh, I got a sticker, an RCRV sticker of RV Tawny. It is definitely more than 2 colors. Is made from 2 types of material. It does have some adhesive in there. I think this backing and can fit in one hand. All right, so I'm going with this RCRV sticker, RV Tawny. Excellent.
Perfect. Thanks, Adam. So the key for this investigative game is that you were given some parameters and then you had to find something that fit it. So you were investigating, you were trying to figure it out. So some career examples with the ocean science is like we talked about a veterinarian. So husbandry staff. So if you work in an aquarium or something like that, the people who are taking care of the animals and are always trying to figure out ways to give them enrichment or monitoring them to see what was wrong with them every day. That's definitely an option. Moving on to our third Holland type is the artistic folks. And those are the creators. Those are the ones who like to use their brain to create new things. They make tangible things in the workplace. So examples include artists or actors. So a lot of people that you think of as artistic would fit into this one as well. Illustrators. So this is an animation, someone who works in animation, possibly at Pixar, looking at the pictures. Or data visualizers. So this ship down here on the lower right is using data to create a map of the ocean floor so that we can't go down and see it, but using data, we're able to kind of visually create that map of the ocean floor, which is pretty neat. So for this activity, you are going to, it's called Create It. And what you're going to do is you're going to think of representing your current career interests. So whatever you're interested in going into, or if you're not entirely sure, just pick one of your interests and finding a creative way to represent it. So for instance, this here is a protein model. So one of our students was wanting to go into medicine and he was looking at the microbiology level, so very, very small. And one of the creative ways to kind of represent that career interest was doing a protein model, which was here. So I am going to hand it over to Adam, who is going to show his creative way to explain his career interest.
Yep, my name is Adam again, back over to me. So I work at Oregon State University. I'm an educator, I'm a researcher, and one of my career interests that I think goes probably into my social life too is puzzles. Like a lot of the video games that I play have puzzles in them, but then also I like doing researching. So like I see that as kind of looking at pieces of a puzzle. So I am going to see how I can represent that with some items I have. And so one thing that makes me think about puzzles is kind of like tanagrams, which you may have done sometimes. So they are the things that you can make shapes out of. So what kind of shapes could we make here? So we could make a triangle. So I remember a lot as a kid playing those games, I guess it could have been a little better, where they gave you all the shapes and you were like, what can you make with this shape? And then change it to a different shape, kind of like Tetris. So I'm trying to make a triangle here because I enjoyed that. And I think maybe this will work. Yeah, that actually looks decent. I'm satisfied with that triangle and my artistic representation of my interest in puzzles. So cool. I actually like that a lot. So I think that one's gonna jump higher than the other two. The investigative activity we did and jump higher than the realistic activity. So I'm gonna give that one a 5 out of 5. All right.
Thanks, Adam. And hopefully you were able to find a creative way to represent your career interest. Some careers that use this artistic Holland type, we mentioned the protein model, but big data stories. So using those data to create stories to tell other people. And then forecasting. So using data to forecast like weather patterns, things like that. Our fourth Holland type is the social Holland type. And these are the people who like working with others. They like to help others. They're outgoing and they typically care about others as well. So some examples here could be nurses, if you think of nurses, or EMTs in the back of ambulances, teachers or professors, college professors, community organizers, um, people who like to do journalism, working with others, telling data, things like that. And the activity here is say it. And so, what you are going to do for this activity is to create a caption for the image here. So, kind of focusing on the social aspect of it, look at the reactions, and how would you caption the photo? And I'll hand it back to Adam.
Thank you. So in that image, what we saw was, I believe, some characters there, one with a lasso, the other one standing around them in a circle. And that reminds me of that candy holiday that just passed. So I'm going to say in my best witty voice, hand over the Snickers. That would be my caption, would be hand over the Snickers. Yeah. There you go. All right, back to you, Emily. That is my caption. That one is going below the other activities for mine. I don't know, so I'm gonna put that one as a 3 of 5. Okay.
Thanks, Adam. I like the way that you were able to kind of contextualize it and put it in with referencing to the last holiday and how everyone's kind of standing around. So I like that one. Some other career connections could be a reporter that I mentioned, community organizer, or a nonprofit developer. So moving on to our fifth Holland type is the conventional Holland type. And these are the organizers. So these people like to work within order. They like everything kind of set. They work well within a system, and they're typically pretty well organized as well. So examples include accountants that have numbers and datas and they are and spreadsheets, and they have to work within those spreadsheets. Data analysts, so looking at that data and analyzing it, and safety crews as well. So lots of structures and mandates to work with that. Other examples, this is a research scientist. So in order to make sure that all of your data is correct, everything has to be in its place, very, very organized. Computer scientists need to work within computer programs and have very specific ways that code needs to be written in order for the computer to read it. So definitely other examples there. And the activity for the conventional Holland type is called Get It Together. And so what you are going to do is you are going to create a list of 3 household items that increase in size but decrease in weight. So they get bigger, but they also get lighter. And with that, I will hand it over to Adam.
All right, so just to recap, we've done the realistic activity. That was that do it one. We did the investigative activity. That was the, what was that one? Oh, was that the art? No, that was the artistic representation. We've also done the investigative. Now we're onto social. And so right now, this is that conventional, the get it together one. So as Emily said, we got to get 3 household items. They increase in size and they decrease in weight. So increase in size and decrease in weight. I think this is going to be my middle one. Increase in size, but decrease in weight. So I need something that's bigger than this. That's also lighter. I'm going to put there. And then I need something that's smaller than this and heavier. Smaller than this little Edison robot and heavier. I'm getting stumped here, so I might have to make some changes. Okay, this is really happy. All right. Oh. Okay, I think ooh, is that bigger? Let's go with the smaller one. Okay. All right, I think I am ready. So now these are my items. So let's go over the rules again. 3 household items, increase in size, but decrease in weight. So here I have my first item is the coffee cup. It is a Smile coffee cup. Household item, there you go. My second item is a very old Nintendo DS. I think it's heavier than the coffee cup. It also takes up, I'd say it's taller than the coffee cup. Looks about wider than the coffee cup, so I'm gonna say it's bigger. And then my last one is this piece of paper. It is the biggest, it is the lightest, and I think that is this activity for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and rate this conventional activity. I've been using a 5-point scale on this one. And I'm gonna give it a score of 3.5. So all right, now back to you, Emily. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Adam. So the important thing to keep in mind about this Holland type is that it's very similar to the investigative where you had a set of parameters and you had to go find something. But the important thing with the conventional is that it had a set order, that it had to be in a certain order. So that they're very similar, but with this one, the order mattered. Order definitely mattered. So some career examples here could be coders we talked about, or the data processors. And our last Holland type is the enterprising Holland type. And these people are the persuaders. So these are the people who are very optimistic, typically extroverted, and they can sell things. So if you think of someone in sales, they are persuading people to buy things. They're persuading people to think a certain way or believe what they believe. And so some career examples here are entrepreneurs. So those are the people who go out and create their own business. They invent something, they create a business, and they are persuaders because they are trying to convince people to invest in their business. Other things, conservation advocates, when they're trying to convince other people to conserve either an animal species or some land, things like that. And then politicians are as well, because they are trying to convince people to either support them or believe how they believe. So the activity with this is called Convince Me. And what you will need to do is to go through and think of a fictional character that fits in each of the 6 categories or Holland types that we've talked about already. And then what the key is to provide an explanation and persuade someone to believe that they fit in that category. So as a quick reminder of the different categories, we had realistic, which was do it. That was doing things with your hands, very, very physical. Investigative, figure it out. So that was looking at parameters and trying to solve the puzzle, find something out. Artistic was create it. So we were being very creative, lots of colors and using your brain in different ways. Social was say it. So that was that caption, the picture that we captioned, and that was looking at the social aspects and the interactions, but the persuaders, they're trying to convince you one way or the other. And then conventional was the get it together. Those are the people that are very ordered. So I will hand it over to Adam, and what you're going to do, remember, is to find a fictional character that fits in each of those categories. And then you will have to persuade someone as to why you put them in that category and that person belongs in that category. So over to you, Adam.
All right, so I will Emily, if you can put the slide back up. I put my answers in there for this one. So those are my 2 answers up there. So the first one, I picked Elsa from Frozen as a realistic. I also thought artistic, so I kind of went with 2 there, but I definitely think realistic with the ice and the building and Let It Go in that song. So yeah, definitely I would put Elsa in the realistic category. And then her number 2, like secondary interest, I would definitely lean towards artistic in that one. And then also down here, I put Mater for social, very friendly Mater. And enterprising, tow truck, owns a tow truck, radiator cities, helps all the lemons out. It seems pretty good. So those are my two fictional characters that I'm trying to convince you out there that Mater fits in the social category and that Elsa fits in the realistic one. So thank you.
Thanks, Adam. I would agree. Some career connections here were leadership positions and then consensus building. So you're trying to get others to think the same way that you are. All right, so now is time to figure out your Holland Code. So how we're going to do that is we're going to think of those 6 activities that we did. And I'll actually go back a slide so you can quickly remember each of those activities. And then you're going to rank them. What was your favorite activity? What was your second favorite activity? All the way down to your 6th favorite activity. And then you take the first letter in your top 3, and that gets the Holland Code. Like I said, write down your first letter in your top 3 traits. And then if you want to share that code in the chat, that would be fantastic. And then I want you to think about what is that surprising? Is it what you expected? Did you go into it thinking you were realistic, social, and conventional? And then after doing the activities, you're actually more realistic, investigative, and social. So kind of, is it different? Is it the same? And then knowing more about that and about yourself can help move forward as well, which is what Adam is going to talk about.
Yeah, so I went through with my stuff here. And when I went through and rated mine as we did them with a scale, and I got artistic as the top one, and then investigative and realistic. So that was the kind of that puzzle game. I think, what did we do for that one previously? For the investigative, we did, it was up there.
That was finding one object that you could lift with your hands and had
and fit in the
colors.
hand. Yeah, so that was the one object to fit in the hand, the building, and the puzzle. So that's what I got. I'm a bit surprised that artistic isn't in there. I think it's interesting for me how the artistic appears with the building and the investigative. Because when I was building that puzzle thing, I felt like I was looking around here, and then also I built it. So I think it's interesting how those 3 kind of appeared in that one activity. So then moving on to these thinking questions, what we have up there is kind of getting back to the learning goals when we talked about earlier. Let me find that one thing is, so now that you have your interest code, those kind of top 3s, now remember that those can change over time. They can change based on what you do, on experiences. So right now, that gives you an idea of some things that you could explore that you know you do like. Maybe those were the code items you ranked really high. And then maybe those things that you didn't rank too high are things that you want to explore, because maybe you actually really do like them. You just aren't sure yet because you haven't explored it enough. So that's kind of something to think about, is how they can change with experience. And then also then moving on to that kind of, what kind of lifestyle do you want? So in that career, as you get older, you might want to think about a work-life balance. So something that you can do to be happy and be fulfilled, but also do what you want in society, in that world of work. So think about that work-life balance. And then earlier we asked, who can you talk about? So if you have an idea about a job, who can you talk about? Well, you can definitely reach out to folks in the community. So maybe you have a friend whose parent does that. You can maybe ask them. Maybe there's someone at the school or a counselor who knows about it. You could ask them. Also, you can always call or email a place. They're called informational interviews. And that's kind of, hey, I want to know about what you do. Can you help me out? So maybe your parent or guardian could help you kind of facilitate one of those, as far as, where do I start exploring? And now in that Google Drive, with the link that's shown on the screen, you can print out one of these surveys right here and take them and fill them out and see if this code matches your Holland code from the game. And there might be some difference. That'd be interesting to think about. And then also in that Google link, there is a link to a survey that you can take. It's in Spanish and English, and it has a lot more questions. You can learn a whole lot more about Holland codes and all about job zones, which is kind of thinking about how much career preparation do you need for certain jobs. So if you want to take this activity to the next level, definitely explore that Google Drive. It's under extension activities, and you'll find it all there. All right, so now just kind of moving on to the closing slide. So if you ever want to get in touch, follow us, the RCRV Project. Here you go. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and then also we have a pretty cool YouTube playlist. We got some cool stop motions of these ships being built. So if you want to check that out. Also, Nautilus Live, they are a research festival completely dedicated to education, to outreach and education and research. But they have a really awesome interactive webpage where they live stream all of their ocean vessel research. You can also read about profiles of the folks that are working on the ship. So they have career profiles. So if you took this activity and you were sparked some interest in some of those ocean careers that we talked about, you can explore it there. All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you for stopping by the STEM at Home and have a great rest of your day. See ya.
Bye, everyone.